Understanding animals' thoughts would simplify things greatly. Suddenly, this whale engulfed a diver. 5 minutes later, everyone was profoundly astonished by an event that will leave you incredulous. Marcus really enjoyed diving and snorkeling because he was a marine biologist. His job involved a lot of diving, and each time he went underwater, it felt unique and exciting. Even though his work wasn't routine, there were some experiences that stuck with him forever. One day, Marcus and his team went into the ocean without knowing it would become their most memorable and scary day. They stopped their boat near a reef, being careful not to harm it. Then Marcus and another diver went out. The water was so clear that day, and they saw many animals. While they were focused on collecting data, they also enjoyed watching the wildlife around them. They were near an area where humpback whales breed, so it wasn't unusual to see them swimming by. These whales are known as the gentle giants of the sea and are always a special sight. But on this day, one of them would behave strangely, shocking everyone. Marcus's diving partner needed to return to the boat with some samples. Marcus decided to hang around and just look at the ocean for a little while. As an expert diver, diving solo wasn't an issue. Besides, they weren't that deep either, so it shouldn't have been an issue. But even the biggest expert in the world can get into trouble. The humpback whales went past, and then something wild happened. One suddenly broke away and swam straight up to Marcus. It's always a better idea to keep your distance from such a large wild animal, despite them having a reputation for being gentle. It was still huge. Without intending to, the animal could injure a human easily if it bumped into them. Generally, just getting out of the way was enough to keep out of their way, but not this time. Each time Marcus changed direction, the humpback followed him. It came up close to him, and he held out his hand, and the whale swam right into it. He was petting a humpback whale. It was an emotional and beautiful experience. But after a few seconds, the whale became pushier. It was seriously strange. She used her fin and tried to push Marcus underneath her. The man tried to move away, but the whale just kept coming. Getting that close to the humpback was dangerous. Her skin was full of barnacles, and his wetsuit was getting cut by the sharp edges. He tried to push her to the side, getting her to go past him, but she wasn't interested. It was becoming slightly frightening. Marcus was all alone, and he needed to stay calm or he might not make it out alive. She suddenly started pushing Marcus on her nose, and despite being a powerful swimmer, he had no way to stop her. She pushed him to the surface. The team saw him coming up from the boat, and then a humpback whale was right next to him, pushing him forward. But they were too far away to do anything besides, what can you do against an animal that can weigh up to 40 metric tons? In seconds, things changed, and they watched something shocking happen. Marcus could see the boat and the people, and he knew how close he was to safety, but there was just no way to get to it. A human will never outswim a whale. Even keeping them on the surface wouldn't help much because they breathe air too. They spent a lot of time on the surface of the ocean. They're powerful creatures, and in the water, he had no means to overpower her and get away. He was completely under her control. This was a man who had swum in the ocean before he could walk and talk. He had done hundreds of dives and seen many animals, including many whales, but now for the first time ever, he was scared. Even worse, he was scared of an animal that he considered his favorite. The team on the boat was in shock. They couldn't believe it either. A humpback was not supposed to act in this way, and then they would be shocked even more. The whale suddenly swallowed the diver and went under the water. By then, they had the smaller rubber duck ready, and they raced towards where they had last seen Marcus. They didn't know what to do or how to act. There are safety protocols for many different sea creatures. For humpback whales, though, just keeping your distance is normally enough. But of course, all wild animals can be dangerous. But even so, they couldn't believe that they just witnessed a man being swallowed alive. It was 5 minutes later, and they saw no signs of Marcus. They needed to head back to the boat and call ocean rescue to come and assist them in finding him and the humpback. There was deathly silence hanging over all of them. No one could have seen this coming, and they would not expect what was coming next either. They got back to the boat, and everyone was extremely shocked to see that Marcus was on the boat. He was lying on his back and seemed out of breath and exhausted, but he was alive and completely unharmed. Everyone started asking questions at once, but he held up his hand to stop them. Then he filled in the blanks. Everything that any of them, including Marcus, thought was wrong. The whale was trying to push him towards the boat, and he didn't realize it, so he was fighting. That was when she opened her mouth, and everybody thought she'd swallowed him. She did pull him underneath the water again, maybe because she felt she could swim faster in deeper depths and control this human who wasn't cooperating. Marcus still had no clue what was going on, but they were close to the rocks of the reef, and he could get seriously injured if he tried to fight and got backed up against the rocks. She had a gentle hold of him, and because he still had his diving gear on, he was breathing underwater. He did have to fight to keep his breathing even, but years of practice helped him to do that despite the terror that was bubbling inside of him. When it started becoming very clear that she wasn't going to let him go, he decided that the best course of action might just be to relax his body and go with it. Fighting was only going to get him injured, and if he tried to relax, he might be able to find a window where he could get free. He had no idea that he was fighting against the wrong animal the entire time. She was pushing him forward, and then suddenly she stopped and tried to hide him under her pectoral fin. That was when he at last understood what was going on. Out from the side of the rocks came one of the biggest tiger sharks the diver had ever seen. It was massive. Seeing such a huge tiger shark on your own could spell big trouble. Marcus loved sharks and hated the stereotypes that were created around them, but there is a reason that people are scared of tiger sharks. They're known for being aggressive, and this one seemed to be looking for a fight. Continuously circling the humpback whale, the shark's attention appeared fixated on Marcus, the human she was safeguarding. Remaining perfectly motionless, Marcus pondered whether the shark had been tracking him longer than he realized. Meanwhile, the humpback whale persistently endeavored to shield him, despite his unintentional resistance. This behavior, while remarkable, aligns with the documented instances of humpback whales protecting other sea creatures, albeit rarely interacting with humans in such a manner. Sensing the futility of reaching Marcus without confronting the whale, the shark eventually retreated. However, Marcus' protector remained vigilant, swiftly guiding him back to safety before departing. Witnessing this display of altruism from a wild animal left an indelible impression on everyone present, ensuring that this experience would be etched in their memories forever. What are your thoughts on the bravery displayed by this whale? Share your opinions in the comments below. Thank you.